Oh, no.
What?
It's okay. The audio was recording. We're fine.
Did you not stop? You didn't
We're
start.
fine. It's
you
fine.
didn't
I
start
fixed
the
it.
camera?
I fixed it. It's fine.
They missed all of my nose picking.
They didn't even notice.
They didn't even notice.
When things are wrong, I'll be by your side. Even when you want to cry.
Stop it.
Welcome.
Welcome.
To the apple that is naked. Oh, my. Hopefully you had a good week because... well, good weeks are hard to come by.
Especially with inflation being up, as it always is.
With inflation the way it is, you experience 2 weeks within 1 week. Yeah. That's Bidenomics for you.
Yeah. You know it's bad when inflation is higher than Lizzo's cholesterol.
Wow.
Oh,
That's high. That is high. High above me.
That's a good song.
Yeah. So, I guess without further ado, before we get to the floggings to increase morale, we'll try to do it with a dose of vitamin B.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, that one.
Welcome to your vitamin B.
Thank you.
We've got the newses for you today.
Ooh, plural newses this
All
time.
of the newses.
I'm excited.
The best newses, if you will. Speaking of the best newses, man accused of trying to violently overthrow government turns himself in peacefully again.
Gosh, dang it.
In other completely not related news, Fulton County releases first official portrait of the 47th President of the United States.
They're really ambitious with their predictions there.
Indeed. Donald Trump's trial for election interference set to begin in time to interfere with the election.
brilliant.
In other news, Trump paid $12 extra to get the cool laser background mugshot.
He's all about the skins.
Hey, look, I'm smoking a marijuana, shouts DeSantis at police in bid to get his own cool mugshot.
Smoking a marijuana.
Smoking the marijuanas. We've got some breaking news. Trump indicted again for looking too stunningly handsome in mugshot. Okay, I swear I won't bring up any more of the mugshots. Next up, Republicans disown Oliver Anthony after he refuses to get MAGA neck tattoo. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
In other news, Biden urges U.S. government to fund vaccine for virus U.S. government funded. And retired Dr. Fauci called out of retirement for one last mask mandate. Try saying that 5 times fast.
I'm not saying it's money laundering. I'm just saying money is being washed.
Going now to the Senate, furious McCarthy promises to respond to Biden corruption with strongliest worded letter ever. The strongliest.
They tell me it's the strongest letter.
Yeah. As most of you are aware, the Republican primary debate was recently. Nikki Haley unveils new campaign slogan, I am a woman.
Hear me roar.
That's it. That's all she's got.
Oh,
on
not
it.
even the
It's
hear me
just,
roar?
I am a woman. Yes.
Oh.
In other news, Vivek's foreign policy experience questioned, as he's never bombed a brown person before.
Oh, that's edgy.
That's racist.
Racist. DeSantis is in hot water for copying Indian kids' homework during the primary debates.
I did notice him glancing over at his his worksheet there.
My eyes just happened to drift over there. I wasn't cheating, I promise. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, said Mr. Bear. It's fine. The winner of the Republican debate has been declared to be anyone who didn't watch the Republican debate.
That's fair. That's understandable.
In other news, Republicans debate to see who's going to lose to Biden in a landslide mail-in vote in the middle of the night.
That's depressing.
And last but not least, confused Mike Pence under impression he's running for president of Ukraine. And this has been your Vitamin B.
That was fabulous.
Babylon B is they are consistent.
They're a
It
gem.
was the funniest thing about that is, like, I think it was Matt Walsh posted something about who won the debate or whatever, and my answer was, well, it was obviously Vivek. Like, anybody who watched the debate, like, you can't argue that Vivek had the most stage presence.
Uh-huh.
He had the most clear and concise answers on any topic that was put forward, and he absolutely wrecked pretty much all of the other candidates when they actually went head-to-head on stuff.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing was nobody in the comments would actually, say that they didn't think that he performed well. They just kept attacking things like, well, he's just a businessman. He has no political experience.
That sounds familiar.
I know, right? And the one thing that I thought was hilarious was I kept getting the he has no foreign policy. Like, he has
sounds-
great foreign policy.
sounds
His foreign
familiar.
policy is leave all the foreign people the F alone. That's his foreign policy.
And keep the foreign people out.
And keep the foreign people out.
I like
That's-
that one.
That's his policy.
Fairly
That
straightforward.
that is foreign policy, and it is straightforward, and it is good. And then was somebody but that was the thing they kept going back to is, oh, his foreign policy is awful. His foreign policy is awful. Why? Because he hasn't bombed brown people? Is that what your gauge is?
because
Nikki Haley demolished him in foreign policy.
if that's the case, yes.
That's the case, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. All around, though, the whole debate was useless.
It really was. That was
pointless.
so pointless.
It was basically Vivek, DeSantis, Christie butting himself in,
Yeah.
and then
that was
and then 5 other people.
the
just
funniest
standing
thing.
there.
All the people that were like, but DeSantis would be so much better of a president. I'm like, I'm not arguing that DeSantis wouldn't be a better president. I have some serious qualms about Vivek. One of them being that he's taken Soros money.
He's taking Soros money and he flip flops.
And he flip-flops.
Vivek has
on
taken
a
George
lot.
Soros
Yes,
money.
he has.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he has. And so like I joke about voting for Vivek, but I wouldn't unless he was a VP on somebody else's ticket that I actually liked.
Right.
Like there's no way I would vote for him straight because he's big pharma. He's
Those were the
been
businesses
paid.
he created and
Yep.
was CEO of.
yeah, he was paid by Soros, and he flip-flops way too much on policy.
Like,
He talks a good game. He's very charismatic.
It's almost weekly now that he flip flops.
Yes, but the biggest problem I have with Vivek is that you can kind of see that what he's done is built a persona out of meshing some of the most popular public presidents that we've had. He has a lot of Trumpisms, and he has a lot of Obama-isms.
If Trump was more proper.
Yes, he's basically taken things from Trump and from Obama and from Clinton and kind of conglomerated them into a persona that he is using to run for president.
It's bombastic. It's millennial. It relates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is
almost like he's been the CEO of multiple companies and has learned how to sell.
Yes, exactly. and so there's a lot of issues with Vivek. But that being said, he still kicked the trash out of everybody in that debate stage. That being said, the debate was worthless. Just saying.
Yeah. And in his defense on the Soros money he took was from some college whatever thing.
Yeah.
So dig into that connection however far you want to.
Well, and that's the other
money,
thing why I say I would vote for him if he was on somebody else's ticket, just because then you could actually see where he would end up standing on a lot of stuff. Coming in dark horse,
so then maybe,
out of left field
maybe
like
you'd
this.
have a better idea of how he is when he runs for president again after being VP.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would prefer to see him in something else where we could actually see him build a track record first of actually following through with what he promises in his campaign, because the fear with him is he is slick, he is a salesman, and he does have some past things that make it very difficult to believe.
Can't just overlook
the pitch.
Yeah.
You can't just overlook it. So he would have to go in and he would have to actually do something and build a track record where you could trust him before you could vote him into something like president, I think.
Don't a lot of people...
Which is sad because I agree with a lot of...
To fund the FBI. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the policy he pitches. A lot of the policy that he pitches.
But what am I getting with that?
Exactly. Yeah. And will he follow through with it? That's always the biggest hook with any politician or salesman or anybody that you put in a political office is, am I actually going to get what he's pitching?
Yeah.
Because if he gets into office and then goes the opposite direction, like what you have no recourse. What was it all for? Exactly.
And that's part of why Trump has such a base, because
he followed through.
He delivered
with,
on
a lot.
many of those promises.
Yeah, with a good portion of what he promised.
Yeah, except for the wall. Still mad about that.
Well, and his hands were tied with that because
He tried.
That's a
He
contract.
tried
fair.
really
That's
hard.
fair.
So
That's true. I cannot believe we shut down the government over like what was it, like $4 billion?
Yeah.
And we're sending like $30 billion to Ukraine every other
That we
month
know
or
about.
something.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of government shutdown might be coming down the pike in like
Sweet.
40 days.
Bring it on. Love it.
Because that's the next budget, whatever thingy.
Let's turn it off and leave it off this time.
Agreed.
Turn it off, lock the door, throw away the key, see what happens. Be fun.
Unplug the machine and just walk out of the room.
Well, then all non-essential employees won't get... Why are they there if they're not essential for running the government?
No, the last time.
Let's back up here, because the first mistake you made was mixing government and non-essential work. Anything that's non-essential should not have anything to do with government.
Uh-huh.
No.
Period. Ever.
Amen. No.
Ever.
The Department
last-
of Justice won't have the budget it's supposed to have. Oh, no.
Speaking of non-essential, do you guys know how many vacation days Biden has
I know this
taken?
one. I know this one. In the last 30 days, 23 of those days were on vacation.
Yeah, overall, he is over 50%
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah, he's something like almost 70, I want to say.
But he took a break from his vacation to go and visit the people of Hawaii after sending them $700 checks. Did you get the check?
So,
And then went back on vacation and extended the vacation because, he took a break from
No,
vacation.
that
so he
story
has to-
about the government
Oh,
blocking
it's 40.
the road.
It's 40%.
Okay.
Over 1/3. He's taken more than an entire year off during his presidency.
Must be nice.
Gosh. What, do
And
you know
he's
what
still
Trump's
gonna get
track
paid
record of that
400
is?
grand a year. What?
Hold on. I'm looking this up. The number of Trump vacation days.
And see, with Trump, he said often that he took working vacation days. And I am way more willing to believe that than I am to believe that Joe Biden sitting on the beach under an umbrella is taking working vacation days.
Okay, there's a table. So
381.
yeah, that's the number that I just liked. And Joe Biden so far is at 379. So in like 2 days, Joe Biden is going to surpass Trump. And
Well,
most.
he's going to this weekend because he's going back on vacation on Friday.
That's
or
still
Saturday.
a lot for Trump. That's over a year in his four-year term.
But like I said, he claimed many of that was working vacation. So he was out of the office, but he was still doing
Right.
presidential
George
stuff.
W. Bush took 1,020.
Yeah, that was
Over
over
that-
2 terms, though.
Well, yeah, but that's still like more than triple of what, about triple what Trump did.
It's 127 days a year.
My goodness, I wish I had that.
That would
kind
be
of consumer policy.
510 days
People tell-
per term. Yeah. Yeah, he took a lot of days off, especially for being the president that started
yeah.
the Afghan war.
No, apparently. So
Like,
yeah, it looks like George W. Bush is worse than Joe Biden. My gosh.
Bill Clinton only took 174 to 345. That's okay. Why does
Oh, no, I'm
Clinton
wrong.
have a range? That's what I want to know. Why is Clinton's a range?
Well, we're not sure.
Well, to be fair,
Are they-
Ronald Reagan's is a range as well.
Are they? Could they not decide if they were going to count the days that he got blowjobs by the? Do those not count, or do they count? Is that the
Well,
discrepancy?
apparently it was in office. So,
Oh gosh.
so yeah,
Working vacation.
vacation.
So anyway, I was wrong. Joe Biden or George Bush is not worse than Joe Biden because Joe Biden's up to 147 days a year. George Bush, who apparently took 1,020 days, was 127 days per year, which is still a lot.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much for someone that's getting paid $400,000 a year
Yeah.
to be in charge of the country.
But yeah, there's definitely some nuance there. You know, like what's a vacation day, what's a working vacation day. You know, so it's hard to say.
Right. So,
Joe, yeah. So it's got the averages there too. So Donald Trump averaged 92 per year. Bush averaged 127. Biden's averaged 147
Yep.
so far.
Yep.
oh no.
But
It's okay. The audio was recording. We're fine.
Did you not stop? You didn't
fine.
start.
It's
you
fine.
didn't
I
start
fixed
the
it.
camera.
I fixed it. It's fine.
They missed all of my nose picking.
They didn't even notice.
They didn't even notice.
so no YouTube this week.
Oh no, I pressed record.
Okay, great.
Get your finger out of your nose. It's a family show, dang it.
Glad they missed the topless start.
That's what everyone needs to see is a topless mic. Oh no. Oh, and it's topless. You've now all seen
There
a
you go.
topless mic.
My mic flashed you. I hope that makes you feel
If I had beads,
important.
I'd hang it on them, but I don't have any beads.
I don't have beads, but I've got a small Batman.
That's basically the same thing.
Basically the same.
Who
thing.
is wearing a robe?
He is wearing a robe. He's wearing a robe. I unfortunately don't have the little Lego lobster that he.
What did we tell you, Trevor? ABR, always be recording.
There you go.
That is
Monica Lewinsky. I finally remembered her name.
wow. Wow.
I had to stop myself when I was making the joke because I almost said Nancy Pelosi.
That would have been bad.
It's very, very disturbing how actually similar their names are. Anyway, Monica Lewinsky, Nancy Pelosi. It's, you know, so very close and yet so very far away.
By the way, Keith, I'm snagging that ABR soundbite, especially since it's at the beginning of the video recording. I know where to find it.
Sounds good.
So now I need that snip, that sound snip from Dumb and Dumber. Samsonite, I was way off.
Anyway, since we're laughing, I have the feel-good environmental video of the year. I'm already ranking this number one, and I doubt it'll be topped. But this was some environmentalists decided it'd be a good idea to cause a roadblock on the way to Burning Man in Nevada.
Oh, good.
Because, you know, it's bad to burn oil, so what better way to prove your point than to cause
A traffic jam?
3 some odd mile traffic jam in the middle of the desert of Nevada?
In the desert of Nevada?
Yeah.
How can they call that nonviolent?
Yeah.
A nonviolent protest?
Yeah, and they also chose a great spot. This was in Native territory, Native American territory. So, this is what happens when you decide to be a
Pistol whip
moron.
the next man that says shenanigans.
This is what, yes. This is what happens when you decide to F around in Native American territory, thinking that you're safe because the police are there.
Let's check this out.
And goodbye, roadblock.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Y'all don't understand.
You better move. Draws his taser on him.
We're not violent. Oh, gosh.
Proceeds to. We have no weapons.
Arrest all of them.
Yep.
Yes.
My goodness, this is heartwarming.
Oh, she just tried to kick him.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to rank heartwarming videos. So I think this is pretty much tied with those videos of those babies putting on glasses and seeing their mothers for the first time.
Oh, that is
That's up there. It's up there.
It's up there.
I love happy endings.
So yeah, Climate Defiance was the group responsible. And they said, words fail. Words utterly fail. Today, a police truck plowed into a peaceful climate blockade. These are the people entrusted to keep us safe. These are the people we have granted a monopoly on the use of force. How is this okay?
You went full retard, man.
So my question is, like, this video, because in the video they're like, did you guys get that? So this was filmed by the activists.
Yes.
Yes.
So, like, what did they expect the reaction to be?
Well, they expect by posting this, they can raise awareness and sue the police and all that stuff. However,
that's not how it works
that's
on the reservation.
not how it works in a reservation. That is technically an entirely different country than the United States of America.
They are sovereign.
So good luck with that lawsuit, because
Yeah.
it ain't happening.
No. You can take it to the tribal court if you really want to.
If anything, they should consider themselves lucky that that's all that happened
Yeah.
on the native tribe. The Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe Reservation is the one responsible. They were called to the protest because, well, people were stuck. Now, if I was in that line of cars, I would be angry at the protesters, of course. But I'd also be upset at every single person in that line that did not keep moving.
Well, the person at the front of the line.
Right. If I was second in line, I would go around the person in front of me.
Fair enough.
And around the protesters. I mean, there's really no fences there. That would be why the one cop was parked on the side of the mountain like this when he got out to arrest everyone.
Yep. And the hero cop that was just having none of it just took their trailer out.
You better move. Dude, that's better than the video of the dude walking around smacking people with a frying pan. That is awesome. That is just great.
It did have that vibe to it.
It did, didn't it?
Tenfold.
It was beautiful.
Yes, that.
That one. Found it.
But yeah, I also love in their statement how they point out how stupid it is to have the police the way that they are, the way that they want them to be. These are people entrusted to keep us safe. Yes, they're entrusted to keep everyone safe. And you causing a blockade in the middle of the desert. In the desert is endangering the lives of the 3 to 4 miles of cars in that direction.
And you also don't know where those cars are going.
You don't know where they're going.
Like, it's bad enough. Like, I've had my AC stop working in the desert before.
Fun.
It's horrible. But
Oh,
like,
dude, I've been stuck on
that's
a
nothing.
motorcycle in construction traffic in the middle of the desert before.
Yeah, it's, couldn't imagine. Anyway,
That sucks.
But not only that, if there is an emergency,
which is very likely when you're talking about that number.
An
that
ambulance
many
can't
cars.
get through all of that. Fire trucks can't get through all of that. Tow trucks can't get through all of that. So you're endangering the lives of people.
Yes.
So you are not keeping people safe.
So therefore,
there's
you can't
that.
call yourself nonviolent.
Which is why the cop was completely justified in just plowing your trailer out of the way.
Totally.
And I would have felt justified in having myself a brand new trailer. Hey, that's our trailer. Yep. And now I'm hitching it up because now it's mine. Have fun with your little roadblock. And then the next little thing there. These are the people we have granted a monopoly on the use of force. Do you see how that's a bad idea now? Where the police have the monopoly on use of force.
Yeah, like tell me again what your your policy position in on gun rights.
Yeah. And of course it's...
But I mean, they're wrong. I mean, you know.
And of course the climate protesters don't see the irony in their protests as they sit on their plastic chairs with their plastic clothing and their oil-based signs that were made from plastic and or the markers made out of plastic and the paper products that are, well, paper and also processed with use of oils.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
You want me to actually research what I'm protesting? Yes.
I mean, I would like you to point to a single thing that they had that was there that wasn't made using oil products of some variety.
How did they get there? I'm gonna guess.
Well, they had a trailer, so I'm gonna assume they had a car of some kind.
Yeah.
Yep, there's that.
A trailer which is made of metal, which is refined using
Oils. And the wheels are greased with oil.
Yeah.
And, well, we used an electric truck. Well, that's probably dead now. Also, oil.
It's like, where do you think that electricity
charged
comes
with oil.
And or coal.
No, it's not oil. It's natural gas.
Which they also protest.
But its tires are made of rubber, which is manufactured with oil.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
and its body is made of plastic, which is manufactured using oil.
Yeah. And
So even the electric cars that they tote so much rely heavily on fossil fuels.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and the strip mines to get the cobalt and all that stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's modern day slavery, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
It's the
Yes.
cobalt mines.
Yes. So, they're fine. They're good. I thought it was interesting, kind of related to this. Back-to-back weekends for me were trips. One was down to Delta, Utah, to see some family relatives. And another was down to Monticello, Utah, to see other relatives. On the way down south on I-15, you look off to the west, and there's a giant solar farm that just occupies swath of land.
Uh-huh.
The route we took to Monticello, we went through Duchesne and all that. Really nice. Duchesne. Really nice drive, because you just go through nice winding forest and all that stuff. In the middle of this foresty, hilly climb, there's oil pumps dotted throughout the drive. And they occupy a space that's maybe about the footprint of a house.
Whoa.
And they produce more. One of those spaces they occupy produces tenfold the energy of that massive swath of solar farm that's occupying unusable land because solar farm. Meanwhile, cows and critters and stuff are grazing all around the oil pumps. But tell me again how your movement is greener.
Did you
than
see
mine.
the second video?
From the other perspective?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
The one where they made the protesters cry.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Do we have that link? Let's watch it.
It's in the links. It's a much longer video because it
That's
shows them
awesome.
getting arrested more so.
Can you show the part where they cry?
Where they
Where they
cry. just skip to that part. It's
I
fine.
just want to see them cry. Let's see. It's that one. I think.
Sure. You're so wholesome.
State route. Everybody will be arrested.
Go full screen.
30 seconds.
I want you to go
Send your
full
leader
screen.
to my vehicle. Let's talk. Get off the fucking road.
Lisa's a little upset. We'll skip ahead. There's he plowing through.
All of you on the ground now!
Nice.
Get on the ground!
We're not violent. Hey, I recognize that hold. Be careful with that. There's a cop in Michigan that greatly regrets using them.
Trespassing on tribal lands.
That's the smartest cop there. See if it pans back to him.
Our friend is getting fucking hurt. He was just standing here. What the fuck?
Oh man, lots of
These guys are
expletives on this.
expletives.
Yeah, they got it. That guy on the other side.
Oh, now you're in the hot dirt getting arrested.
Yeah, there he is. You can just see him behind the truck there. He had the high ground.
Don't try it, Eddie.
Don't try anything. I've got the high ground.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ow.
Ow!
And did you hear as they were starting the arrest, like, you're on tribal land?
I did hear that. Yes.
Letting them know, like,
All right.
This is.
You're right. That was a much longer video.
your
Yes.
rights
It
have
was-
no
it was
power
fun,
here.
You're right. So that's a Lord of the Rings reference. I love it. Okay, moving on from that.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, yeah,
That was,
I could geek out to footage of environmentalists being,
Getting their comeuppance
yeah, exactly,
Yes.
all day.
all day.
Moving on. Talk more about oil.
Over at Bricks,
Oh,
we talked about them a couple weeks ago.
This is the wrong way to go with the oils.
I
all
thought
right.
this
Well, I'll
is-
take it.
I thought we'd start off with the feel
That's
goods
right.
and just kind of work our way down.
I
from
forgot
there.
our show is depressing for a minute there.
So you started at the top and then you went straight to the bottom.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
Bricks has officially.
Yeah, so you remember what I said the worst case scenario would be? When I talked about bricks a little bit ago. Yeah, that's exactly
So
what
they
just happened.
admitted Saudi Arabia.
One step closer to that happening.
Yeah, they approved admitting Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia still has to accept, from what I understand.
I see.
But not just
Well, that
Saudi
makes me
Arabia
feel much
either.
better.
It was Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Egypt,
Iran.
UAE. United Arab Emirates, and I don't remember the other one. They're probably not that important.
I think you got them all. Anyway.
But yeah, several of the top oil producing countries in the world.
They are officially invited to join BRICS.
At times like these, I wish that we could be, energy independent. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Ethiopia. That was the one I missed. It's Ethiopia. Where is Ethiopia? Does anybody know?
It's in Africa somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I believe it's in northern Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It is just south of Yemen, southwest, across the Red Sea,
across the Rubicon
from Yemen.
So yeah, that's just a quick update on that.
Right next to Sudan and Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Get your African geology in.
Geologian?
Geography. Get your African geo in. So Donald Trump had his mugshot taken, and of course he got more popular because of it. My favorite with all of that is the progressive news sources melting down because why does he look so good in his mugshot? Why is he more popular because of it? Why are people saying that he needs to be let free? This isn't how it's supposed to work. So what do you expect?
My favorite thing about it is, at some point he's going to do an interview where he's going to bring up the fact that I've been told that I take the best mugshots.
Yes.
I'm just waiting. I am waiting for that line. It will make my year, and I'm so excited that this is a thing that's going to happen now.
This is probably how it's going to go down. He's going to be at some rally in Georgia. Folks, they're coming after me. As you know, Fulton, they took the mugshot. They took the mugshot. Best mugshot.
Best mugshot. I've been told it was the best mugshot.
It's the most fantastic mugshot that prison has ever seen.
I envy your Trump impression.
It's true. It's true. Yes, it's true.
It's true.
Something like that is how it's going to go down.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were going to plan the trial for Georgia to happen the day before Super Tuesday. But the governor kind of put a little pressure on him and said, that's probably not the best of ideas. They said, oh, okay,
You
fine.
think?
So D.C. decided, oh, well, if that day's open, we'll take it.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
So
originally it was going to be the Georgia trial, and now it's the D.C. trial.
That's why the Babylon Bee thing, the trial
Is
for subverting
really
the election,
funny. Yes,
the
it's
January
really funny.
6th end of all of this stuff is being handled in D.C. That one is scheduled for March 4th, the day before Super Tuesday.
I know that humor, it's funny once you get past the tragedy of it.
The irony is so thick you could slice it with a katana.
I don't think I'm past the tragedy of it quite yet, because this is terrifying. Again, they are interfering with the election by putting Trump on trial for trumped-up charges on election interference.
Yeah.
How is that not...
Was the pun there intended?
Yes.
Okay.
I just call the whole trial trumped-up charges.
Just want to make sure I can chuckle properly.
It's going to be the name of an episode eventually.
Trumped up charges.
Trumped up charges.
I've used that pun before.
All about. Yeah, I know we have. It was just. It's just great. It works every time.
It's A grade.
It's more and more fitting as time goes on.
It's made with real panther, so you know it's good.
It's made with bits of real panther.
No,
60% of the time it works every time.
trumped up charges is going to have like a new layer of meaning after all this.
Oh,
like,
yes.
like seriously though.
So,
Like if that term didn't exist, it would exist after this.
Yeah. The really interesting thing to me is have you seen the influencers that are talking about his increase in popularity? I'm trying to be very delicate here. his increase in popularity since the mugshot.
yeah, there's
Is that like how do you track something like that?
well, there's black people on the streets of Atlanta that are saying that they're voting for Trump and they've never voted before.
Oh,
Yeah, that's one.
yeah. No, I'm
the
starting
the suburbs of Fulton are saying that, and that's where the jury pool is supposed to come from.
to. Interesting.
So, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But there's actually like like black influencers that are on like TikTok and stuff that have been talking about how they're like, oh yeah, I'm totally voting for him now. It's like wait a minute, guys. I'm just gonna leave that one alone.
Sounds good.
There are jokes aplenty. You'll just have to use your own imagination for. Anyways, on the economic side of things, Joe Biden, sensing that people are confused about his plan for Bidenomics that he's never shared before, but suddenly Bidenomics was a thing to talk about, decided to take to a blank whiteboard to describe what Bidenomics is without really doing anything with the whiteboard. Himself.
Inspired by Glenn Beck, I'm sure.
No, he does chalkboards, and they're bigger than that. The White House's budget isn't very big, so, it's got like the Sunday school room whiteboard to.
Oh, I am familiar with those whiteboards.
But this is this is a bit of how this went, because I don't think I can stand doing the whole thing.
Share with you my economic vision to grow our economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not
Grow our
top down. Trickle-down economics is the belief
So,
that we should cut.
just right off the bat, did you notice that? Did you see what they're doing with the whiteboard?
They're editing it post
The whiteboard is blank, and they're just using it
to like
as a
edit
green
stuff.
screen
Yeah.
for their PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, to PowerPoint. To PowerPoint for him as he talks. Yes.
Belief that we should cut taxes for the wealthy and big corporations.
Yes.
And expect it to trickle down to everyone else. That we should shrink public investment in roads, bridges, and
He is
water
not
systems,
there.
airports, and public education. Well, when put into practice, trickle-down economics failed.
Except for
Blew
it
up the
didn't.
deficit,
Except for it never
increased inequity, and weakened the infrastructure of
No, we
America.
call it supply side
And it made it
economics.
harder
Thank you
for
very
folks
much.
to get to the middle class. That's until now.
So,
Does he not realize that all of the wages of poor people have been going down because of the inflation caused by his spending policies?
also, the middle class has disappeared.
That would require him to be self-aware in any capacity, and he is.
I don't know. I'm
not.
I'm debating if he's even conscious.
well, also, so the middle class technically has shrunk.
But that's because they're moving to
before-
upper middle class.
before
Again,
he
we're
took
talking
office.
before
Yeah.
Bidenomics here.
Before he took office, the middle class technically did shrink, but that's because they moved from middle class to
upper middle class.
middle class
Yeah.
and upper class. Meanwhile, the lower class was moving to upper lower class and lower middle class.
Yeah.
And then Bidenomics.
Yeah, no, that's it. I've tried to listen to leftist economic, what's that?
Theory?
What's that famous podcast? It's like
podcast.
anyway, I don't recall, but there's like a famous podcast that's like about economics, but it's from the left. Like literally, like I try to listen to it, and they just like this is their idea of debunking. They're like, oh yeah, trickle down economics or what's it called? The Laffer curve.
Something like
theory-
that, yes.
Yeah, the theory that like once you tax a certain amount, government revenue goes down because it throttles productivity, like stuff like that.
Because
so
it
they bring
happens
up
every
those.
time. Yeah.
those economic theories, and they're like, yeah, so this is this right-wing economic theory, but it's just not true. Yeah, it's not true. And the other ones are like, yeah, it's not true. And they're like, okay, why is it not true? And they don't elaborate. They just believe that it's like self-evident that these
Everyone just knows that it is.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, could you make your argument, please? And clearly Joe Biden is doing the same thing.
Yes. He goes on. Flip the board. Ah.
It's about growing
Now
the
he gets a
economy
marker.
by strengthening the middle class and making things in America again.
Okay,
And
how
let's
do you
make
plan
the
on
wealthy
doing
pay
that?
their
Real
fair
wages
share,
are down, my friend.
Not cut taxes for the wealthy. It's about folks who've been calling this Bidenomics. And it's working. Bidenomics has three main pillars: making smart investments in America, educating and empowering American workers,
He flipped the
and promoting
board
competition
over,
to
and it
lower
had
costs
writing
for
on it, but
Americans
it's actually
and
not
help
there.
small businesses thrive. First, smart investment in America includes investing in our infrastructure, manufacturing, and clean energy. Our investing in the American agenda is powering resurgence in American manufacturing, bringing investments in good-paying jobs
And also pork.
union jobs back to America. Companies are investing in America again with over $500 billion in private commitments to rebuild America's manufacturing. And now we have a factory building boom. Spending on construction and manufacturing facilities has doubled over the last 2 years.
Is that why
On my watch,
cities
we've
are
created
turning
more
into
than
ghost
13
towns because the
million new
manufacturing
jobs,
plants in their
including
city
nearly
is
800,000
shutting down?
manufacturing jobs.
I mean,
Second,
booming?
Educating and empowering American workers is about increasing wages. More Americans joining the workforce. Educating and training workers.
That is not
Supporting
his
unions.
hand.
We've
I know.
already
I
reached
thought that too.
unemployment at a near historic low.
Like that is
Providing education and training
definitely
opportunities
not
for
his
people and
hand.
See if I
making
can pause
easier
it on
to
his
join
hand
a
when I-
union. And third, promoting competition to lower costs for Americans to help small businesses is about fighting to ban non-compete agreements.
Why ban non-compete agreements?
Lowering prescription drug costs, cracking down on junk fees, and creating a level playing field for small businesses.
Why is that
My
such...
administration
So
That is not his hand.
There's no way.
There is no way in hell that is his hand. Anyway, it's beside the point.
Anyways, to eliminate junk fees.
Banning-
Sure.
Banning
I would not be
non-compete.
surprised if this whole thing was a deep fake.
Banning non-compete agreements is a terrible idea. An outright ban on non-compete agreements is a terrible idea.
Yeah. It's... What was the example? Was it State of
I
the
think it
Union?
was fast food. I think
Yeah,
like
the State of the Union was his thing of...
yeah, I think the
They have a
example he
non-compete
used
going from McDonald's to
to
Wendy's.
Burger King or whatever.
It's like-
yeah.
Yeah, because McDonald's doesn't want their secrets shared with Wendy's. That's... You can't work at one and the other at the same time because that's conflict of interest. So, whatever it takes to get rid of, to eliminate any kind of competition between similar industries. So, since his Bidenomics is working so well, I thought, well, let's look at some regulations that have happened recently. Biden's alcohol czar, didn't even know we had one, is warning that new guidance through the FDA, right? The FDA? USDA, sorry.
I was just saying, Department of Agriculture?
The USDA could most likely change its guidance on the amount of alcohol to consume each week.
Like that you should consume or that the maximum.
The recommended amount. So it could be that you should only drink 2 beers a week. Their current guidelines is something like 2 a day.
Oh, so what you're saying is
It's not like any kind of law or anything like that. It's just a recommendation.
okay.
Because recommendations never turn into forced edicts.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
And also, last time I checked, the government trying to restrict consumption of alcohol, it turned out really well.
Okay, so what you're saying is the like these recommendations someday may become more than recommendations.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because only every other time, at least during Biden's presidency, that a recommendation was heard, a rule change followed.
Gotcha.
For example, it was recommended that more ethanol be added to gasoline, and so the Biden administration went ahead and changed the rules so that more ethanol is in your gasoline.
Yeah, for the record, I think alcohol itself is just terrible. But yeah, I can see your point that regulating this one thing could lead to him regulating other things, and that's bad.
Uh-huh. But yeah, the ethanol thing, it was 10% required in your gasoline of ethanol, and now it's going to be 15% is required. The issue with that is ethanol is made from corn. Corn is kind of needed to, feed people and livestock. And, if we're upping the amount of corn by 50% to be used in gasoline, corn prices have been going up.
That's not good.
Gasoline prices will now go up. Food prices will go up. Cattle prices will go up. Oh, and ethanol actually is not the best of things to really have running in your engine. So your engine life is going to go
Down.
Fascinating. So I guess if you get an electric car, you can avoid all that.
Oh.
We're not forcing you to buy an electric car. We're just making it financially irresponsible to have a gas car.
Genius. They're going to ruin the things that we already have that are good that we want to stick to.
Uh-huh.
And that's their idea of being progressive. We're progressing to things that are worse.
The Department of Energy is proposing a new rule that would make ceiling fans more efficient. Yep. Your ceiling fan is not energy efficient enough. So we're going to change it so manufacturers of ceiling fans have to reinvent the ceiling fan to meet our regulations, which means it's going to be more expensive to buy the ceiling fan. But hey, it's going to save $369 billion for American taxpayers, which translates to about $1.50 a year for American taxpayers.
I have like 10 ceiling fans at my house.
I have 10 ceiling fans. And they tout that over the lifetime of the fan, it will save $39 in energy.
Yay.
Never mind the fact that the ceiling fan itself will cost a few $100s.
Yeah. And plus, I always trust the savings estimates put out by the Biden administration.
And in case you were wondering what kind of regulations are in place, there is bookings.edu, which allows you to track and find any and all regulations that have occurred since whenever you want to have the timeline. And you can even narrow it down by category. So just picking a random category here. Let's do agriculture. And we got 3 regulations on agriculture: migratory bird hunting on federal Indian reservations, take of migratory birds, and SNAP benefit increases. So changing how you hunt birds, and changing the amount of money that goes into SNAP. So increase in money, increase in money, increase in money. Bidenomics at work.
Yeah, so did you look at the COVID-19 ones?
I did before I did this, and they're fun. Yeah.
Yeah, they're reinstituting workplace guidelines for companies with 100 or more employees have to get regular testing again.
Yeah, they're looking at doing all that stuff again.
Oh,
yeah.
joy.
Yep. Yeah. And this
restricting country access.
And this has all current in rulemaking and rescinded regulations.
A rule removing shoulder injuries and fainting as covered injuries during the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program.
Oh my gosh.
Rule imposing increased evidentiary requirements on immigrants. And a rule amending Regulation X of the real estate settlement to protect borrowers affected by COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's fun. That's a fun thing to see. All of that. Once upon a time, back in high school, one of my teachers had a quote on the board. Said the Lord's Prayer is 20 some odd words. The Declaration of Independence is, I don't know how many words, 1,000 words or something. And the rules and regulations on the wholesale of cabbage is 15,000 some odd words. So clearly cabbage is important because it has more words to describe how you can and cannot sell and transport cabbage. I'm sure that has changed since my high school years as well. Stumbled across a little article from Axios. The problem with America's high ownership rate. The housing crisis. The issue with the housing crisis is because people own homes, is essentially what the article says.
Question.
Yes?
So what they're saying is...
Yes, you in the front.
The only reason there's a housing crisis is because people are in homes, so the solution is to get less people in homes?
So because people own homes, the Federal Reserve, their hands are tied. They can't increase rates because then people can't buy new homes because they're expensive, and the increased rates make it more expensive. And they can't decrease rates because that makes it really difficult to really control the inflation. So they're stuck because people own homes. If people would just not own homes and rent instead, it would be much easier for the Fed to change the rates and all that stuff to control inflation. That's the dumbest dumbed down version.
So in other words, you people who protected yourself against the whims of these unelected bureaucrats in the Fed, you're the problem.
Yeah. It's not the government's problem that houses are overregulated. You can...
My friends, this is why you never go for an adjustable rate mortgage.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So people have locked in, 3%, 4% interest rates. And that's just destroying the economy because people aren't selling their homes, which helps stir up the economy. Well, yeah, because if I sell my house, I can't buy a new house.
Yeah. No, I did the math on this once because when I was debating what kind of mortgage to do, either a fixed or an adjustable rate mortgage, I did the math. And I looked at the height. This was the Jimmy Carter era or something. It would have cost me upwards of $750,000 if I allowed for the worst case. That was what I calculated as the worst case scenario
for an adjustable rate.
For an adjustable rate mortgage, yeah.
Yeah. Versus 400 some odd for a fixed rate.
So yeah, the fixed rate that I have over the life of the loan, it was $200,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's just so the 750 that was marginal. So it would have been $200,000 in interest plus the 500 to 750,000 that I calculated. Though granted, that was the worst case scenario.
This article is gold.
Oh, it is.
This is absolute
the mental
gold.
Gymnastics here are quite a feat.
My favorite part is where they admit, right in the middle of the article, that houses, or rather mortgages, have become the primary means of American middle class wealth creation.
So let's perpetuate that.
So let's destroy the middle class.
So the problem with America is that too many people own houses because it's a problem because that creates wealth in the middle class, and we need to stop that shit.
That's literally what he's saying.
Literally what he's saying.
To strengthen the middle class. You cannot have both of those messages at the same time. Pick a lane. Do you want to destroy the middle class, or do you want to strengthen the middle class? You can't just give worthless platitudes saying you want to strengthen the middle class and then turn around and saying we need to destroy home ownership.
Unless, of course, you're extremely socialist, which is made clear by this sentence. Not only do Americans give up happiness and even income when they stay rather than move, they also take up millions of square feet of space that are desperately needed by growing population. So because you're staying in your house and not allowing it to be used for rental or even to be torn
the
down
middle
and
class
turned into a rental building,
according to this article, the middle class is the new upper class. Because it is the middle class's home ownership that is creating a class of winners and a class of losers, and preventing people that need shelter from getting shelter. This article is literally blaming the middle class
for economic woes,
for the existence of a lower class now.
Yes. It's a fascinating read.
Is this not the most asinine thing that you've ever looked at? What in the hell?
Well, when your name is Felix Salmon and you look like the way he looks, it all starts to make sense.
Speaking of destroying the middle class, what else do you have for us, Trevor?
So Mike shared a thing with us.
I did. I shared a few more things with you related to something I shared earlier that you can include, or that I talked about earlier that you can include in
Our
the
weekly
links
text
to.
messages get wild, people.
They do. They do. I really, really love this reel, by the way. It's kind of beautiful.
And I do enjoy this is the silent depression, which I do love the wordplay on that.
I really like the way she presents this.
Yes. So anyway, here it is. Unless, of course, it doesn't play any sound.
You've got to turn off the mute in the top right. It auto mutes for some reason, and now you'll have to scroll to the next video and scroll back to restart. It doesn't let you
I heard
just.
a new term on TikTok today that made me stop in my tracks.
We are living in the silent depression.
This guy believes we are not just living in worse than the Great Depression, we're living in the silent depression. The average annual income in 1930 for an American individual was a little over $4,800. Sounds like nothing, but if you adjust that for inflation, a little over $4,800 a year in 1930 is equivalent to almost $85,000 annually for the average salary for one person. Right now, the average annual salary is $56,000 a year. We currently are making less than the height of the Great Depression. In 1930, gas was on average 10 cents a gallon. That would be about $1.73. In case you haven't filled up your car lately, average cost of a gallon of gas is $3.55. To buy a new car in 1930 would have been about $860. It's worth about $15,000. The average cost of a new car today is $48,000. And of course, the most coveted aspect of the American dream, being able to buy a house in 1930, cost about $3,900, less than $70,000. I spend way too much time on Zillow, so maybe this isn't surprising to me, but the average price of a home in America today is $416,000. How could we be living through worse cost of living and wages than 1930? And no politician, no media outlet, no one is talking about it.
That's Bidenomics. It's about growing an economy by strengthening the middle class.
I heard a new term on TikTok.
Hold on. Adjusted for inflation, the average house back then was $78,000. That's adjusted for inflation.
That's adjusted for inflation.
I wrote them down.
That's less than my down payment.
Yes.
I wrote them down for quick reference. Income then, so 1930 inflation 2023. Income $4,800, $85,000, $57,000. Gas 10 cents, $1.73, $3.55. Car $860, $15,000, $48,000. House $3,900, $70,000, $416,000. Tuition. Oh, sorry, that's a different one. But yeah.
Okay, so all the factors that could be causing this kind of inflation, because it's one thing to adjust for inflation because she adjusted for inflation. It's another thing to adjust for buying power. So clearly our buying power has gone down. On this, so the factors that could affect this sort of thing. There's population growth, so that's one. And again, it's not inflation per se because she adjusted for inflation. What are the other factors?
Government regulations.
That's
Gotcha.
That's why I started with the regulations.
Almost 100% of that extra is government regulation interference causing.
And I'm about to point out a few other things here.
An artificial economic.
Well, also, I would also agree. I would also argue feminism because they're the ones that wanted to work or whatever. So suddenly, the average household went from a one-income household to a
two-income household.
And they thought that was empowering or whatever, but now it's pretty much mandatory. to live in a 2-income household.
That could be
if you
part of
wanna
it as well.
Get by on things.
Yes. The focus here though will be on the regulations because I'm gonna point out a little trend here.
We'll diss on feminism later.
So so she points out income, gas, car, and house. All of those things help you be independent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So naturally the government has to regulate it. Now add to that tuition. I looked this up right before the show started. So undergrad tuition, just tuition, not the books and other stuff, in 1930 at UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, was $400 for the year.
What is that adjusted for inflation?
Adjusted for inflation, that's $7,300.
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty expensive. I mean, compared to what I paid for my bachelor's degree.
2023 undergrad tuition, just tuition, $56,000.
$56,000
at UPenn. And if you're interested, you can look at it and you will see that the fees, just the fees, because they have to process all of it or whatever, the fees was $5,600 this year for UPenn. So the fees was almost as much as tuition adjusted for inflation.
Oh my gosh, that's bananas.
How much
I must have gotten the cheapest education ever.
How much regulation is associated with education in the United States?
Yes.
Now, something that isn't regulated all that much are things like, oh, I had one more actually, a horse. So a horse, not as readily used today, but was back then. In the 1930s, a workhorse, you could buy one for around $200 for an 8-year-old horse.
Okay.
Adjusted for inflation, that's I have an inflation calculator here. Adjusted for inflation is $3,600.
And is that $2023 or
adjusted for inflation for 2023 is $3,600. To
Okay,
buy
not
a
bad.
similar horse, similar age for similar purpose is around $6,000
today?
today.
Okay. Well, I mean,
So-
the supply of horses is much less, but so is the demand.
Yeah, horses were all but wiped out after World War I.
Yes.
Because most people brought their own horses to be cavalry and all that stuff for World War I. Outside of that, horses are a symbol of freedom. Because you get on your horse, you go riding off, blah, blah, blah. So, and there's tons of regulations surrounding livestock, horses, all that stuff. Anyway, now to a few other things. Mike, do you have the inflation calculator pulled up?
I do.
So, in the 40s, you could get a television for $445. So 1940 inflation calculator, $445.
1940, $445. Then in 2023, the same item would cost $9,716.61.
$10,000.
$10,000
for a TV,
for a 12,
Which means that the TV
for a
is
12-inch screen.
Which means that the TV is currently much less than inflation.
How much regulations are there on buying and selling
Not much.
TVs?
Not much.
Next to nothing.
Huh.
For the record, you can get a TV for way less than $445
You can
today.
get a high-end 8K TV for less
Well, 4K probably
than that.
Yeah.
For about that price or less. And it's like a 50-something inch TV
Yep.
or bigger.
Yep.
Radio, $75. 1930.
75 in 1930. Let me adjust here. 1930. And you said 75?
Uh-huh.
That would be approximately $1,372.86.
Our radio's
Over $1,000. My goodness.
or less expensive than that.
I don't think we have radios.
But if you got one, which every car comes with one, it doesn't
Like,
really...
if someone gave me
You
a
can
radio, I would say, what the heck are you giving me this for?
You can get a cheap 8K TV off of Amazon for $502.
How many inches?
That can't be right. 110 inches? That's not right.
That's not right.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
check
it's-
Costco here.
Interesting. I mean, the majority of them are, $900,
Are we-
$1,400, $3,000.
Are we set on the 8K thing?
Sure.
Okay.
Because that's the latest and greatest compared to the latest and greatest.
The
which was
only
first in the
option
40s.
the only option at Costco is an 85-inch 8K TV for $5,000.
So about
Which
the
is
same price
still-
or less.
No, that's
it's
still
half the price.
$4,000
That's half the
less.
price. That is half
According
the
to
price,
inflation, yes.
my friend.
So not regulated.
But
not
yeah,
regulated.
a 4K TV you can get like a 55 4-inch 4K TV you can get for like less than $400.
Also 1930s,
You
75
can
cents.
get a radio for $7 right now.
Yeah, and there's how much regulations on buying and selling radio?
Very little.
Next
Almost
to nothing.
none, compared to everything else. So now do
It's almost as if you don't overregulate something, the free market makes it better and cheaper until it's
All right, now
beating
what's the
inflation.
cost of delivering a
Hold on,
baby?
hold on.
Okay, fine.
I remembered this one. I didn't put it in the links, but I think it's still in the same link as the radio thing. 75 cents,
75 cents for what?
1930.
75 cents. 0.75 would be $13.73.
That's how much a record cost in 1930. So
How much
that
was it in adjusted for inflation?
$13.73.
13,
So a
okay.
record was 2 songs, ish,
Yeah.
depending on the type of record and all that. How much does it cost to just buy a song off of
$1.25, I think.
99 cents.
Huh.
Oh, isn't it $1.25 now?
Or if you want to buy an entire
Depends
album.
on where you buy it.
Okay.
If you want to buy an entire album, it's $10, $12.
I don't buy music. I just stream it on YouTube.
And you get 10, 15
Same.
songs or whatever. So yeah, there's not really heavy regulation on that either. Delivering a baby. 1947, Mike. $54.
1947. It was how much?
54.
$54. That would be $740.24.
720. Oh my gosh.
$740.
I want to go back.
24 cents.
That was 4 days in the hospital with anesthesia and no insurance.
Okay. Now here's the question, and here's the problem with the calculator. Would be, is this using the new inflation rates, or is it using actual inflation?
That I don't know exactly what they're. Oh, learn how this calculator works. Uses
There's a button,
uses the latest U.S. government CPI data.
so it's
So-
using current inflation rates,
Right, which means it's
which means it's
so much
worse.
worse.
So much worse.
So there is a common thread between. Oh, by the way, delivering a baby today at a hospital with insurance
Is like $20,000.
is in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $20,000, depending on what happens.
Yeah, no. It
And how
depends.
long you stay.
No, my insurance, like, I had to go through private insurance because I was, because of stupid Obamacare. I was a contract worker. Anyway. So I got private insurance, and while I was having a baby, my insurance company went bankrupt.
Perfect.
So that was fun.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, basically, thanks Obama because of that.
So the common thread that I noticed with these things, because this all started from a hunch. And so far my hunches are, 90%-ish correct?
Yep. Well, no, hold on. Before we go back, before we move on from the hospital thing, the cost of regulating in healthcare has been ridiculous. So, what do you think the cost of TVs would be today if instead of just walking in and being compelled to buy a TV because of the price, instead we walked into a Best Buy and said, okay, I want to buy this TV. Here's my credit card. Don't tell me how much it costs. I'm going to buy the TV and don't give me a receipt. Just put it, which is basically what like
the hospital is.
You can tell me how much it costs after I get the TV and take it home and let the, return window expire. Like how much do you think TVs would cost then if that's how it worked?
Well, they would still not cost a lot because here's my theory. If you're trying to spread a message, this links back to when I had the three hits in a row on my hunches on the food and drug pyramid. If you're trying to spread a message, do you want it to be easier or harder for people to hear that message?
Easier, I would think.
Easier. So if you are working in government and you know that adding regulations make things more expensive, do you make regulations on the things that spread your message? Or do you not put regulations on things that spread your message?
Not spread your message.
You put regulations on things that don't spread your message.
That don't spread your message.
Yes.
So if your message is to, you will own nothing and be happy, as we learned from Axios, are you going to regulate the TVs where Biden can stand up there and show you a stupid whiteboard of Bidenomics? Or are you going to regulate the vehicles that allow people to go on vacation to escape the madness?
Oh, did you see that article about the Ford CEO taking a drive in the electric truck?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And the absolute nightmare that he had trying to figure it out.
Hated it.
He got back to his Ford headquarters and said, "Yeah, we got some stuff to work on. Yeah, this isn't ready."
Yeah.
And then there's the guy that decided to do the Rivian truck on a road trip after realizing that the charging stations don't work and that his truck wouldn't be able to reach the next charging station. That probably also wouldn't work. He had to call a tow truck to tow his Rivian truck back to where he got it from, which was a couple hundred miles at this point, a few hundred miles, and then rent a gas car to finish the trip. His answer, though, after all of that, writing about all the nightmare he had, he turned around and said, "This is why the government needs to be more involved with charging stations across the country. Even though all of the government ones that I used sucked, the Tesla one worked great, but all the other ones that were sponsored by the government sucked. We need more government to have more charging stations." People like that, you can't throw all of this logic at them and expect it to change. You have to mock and ridicule them with their own stupid circular logic to make them change their mind.
Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science? I am Arthur.
Yeah. That's why if you want a biblical reference for that, if you're a Christian type and you think it's not good to mock and ridicule, remember that Elijah, when the priests of Baal were challenging him to sacrificial stuff, they did their hooping and hollering and slitting their wrists and all kinds of stuff, and still no fire came down to consume their offering. And how did he respond? "Oh, your God must be asleep. It's maybe yell a little louder. Maybe he'll wake up." That's how you respond to these things. Because yes, we have all of the facts and data on our side to show a free market economy, if left alone, actually does make things significantly cheaper.
Yep.
And we also have all the facts and data to show that government overreach makes things significantly more expensive in more ways than one. Yep. 6 ways to Sunday.
No, I remember my favorite change that Trump passed, like towards the end of his presidency, is he set a requirement. He put in motion a requirement that hospitals have to post their prices, but of course when Biden got elected, he put a stop to it immediately. And that's why I was like, guys, we were so close. Why
So
did you have to
close.
elect this idiot?
Yeah. Yeah. So now, and all the damage that he's done is going to take years to recover from.
Yep.
Years. And that's if there aren't spineless Republicans standing in the way.
Yeah. Well, that's just, we got to make sure we have the power. As soon as we have all 3 seats of the judge, we got to get the Supreme Court to be.
We're going to write the strongest worded letter.
We're going to wag our fingers at them and tell them to stop it.
Voraciously.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the emperor's groove.
that's all that stuff. That's all that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a fun thing. If you have a hunch about something that could or could not be affected positively or negatively by inflation, follow it and see how much it's regulated. That'll tell you a few stories.
College is too expensive. We need the government to step in and make it less expensive.
And then 5 seconds later, they're like, my student loans. Someone needs to save me from my student loans.
I didn't know I had to accept responsibility for my own actions.
Yeah. Those are the people you're dealing with. They don't
no.
they don't listen to facts. They don't care about any of that stuff.
But no, Milton Friedman used to say that the government solution is usually worse than the problem. And
usually, always,
the student
always
loan
worse than the problem.
Only every time.
The student loan crisis was one of my favorite examples because, like, the reason we have government student loans is because people are like, we need college to be accessible to more average people, so you should have government sponsored loans so that they can have the opportunity to pay for college. And then 5 seconds later, they're like,
increase the price of college.
well, yeah, they increase the price of college because of supply and demand, and now everyone can't pay for their student loans, which is definitionally a scam because if you can't pay for something you did to earn money, then it wasn't worth the money.
Yeah.
People don't
so you're
understand.
just perpetuating a scam.
There's one very, very simple thing about economics that people don't understand.
Very simple.
Very, very simple. That is the fact that money isn't real.
Yes.
Literally, people don't get this. People think that money has value, that money is worth something. It's not. It's paper. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a representation.
It is a representation of an agreement between two people. That is all it is.
It only has confidence that we put in it.
Exactly.
Like any other
well, and not just that. Not just that. But it literally carries no value.
It's paper.
The only thing that carries value in the economy is the product and the service that is granted to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The reason the price changes is because there isn't enough product or service to go around. And so the price of a product or service is a gatekeeper. It's designed to make it so that people that can't afford it can't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you make money
that means
more
only-
accessible to people because they can't afford something they want, all that does is make the thing that they want more expensive. That is literally the only thing it does.
And
that
so
means
the
only
because
wealthy
it doesn't
people will
change
have,
the supply.
Yeah.
So the same people that couldn't afford it before
Can't afford it now.
can't afford it anymore.
And
Again.
now people that used to be able to afford it can't afford it because while the price went up of those things because your money is worthless and they just gave you more of it, their wages didn't go up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you've created this issue by asking the government to give you money. That is literally the cause of every single thing
Govern me
that
harder,
can't
Daddy.
be afforded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Government
is why-
intervention is 100% the cause.
So this is why I always say that leftists always lose. Like, more specifically, it's more like people that ignore economic realities always
Yeah.
lose. But like, I'm going to go with the leftist analogy here for a second. The reason I say that is because if they win or if they lose to Republicans or, whatever, then they lose because, they just lost. But if they win and they can enact everything that they've always wanted to, they still lose because they lose to reality. Yes. Because their ideas are fundamentally opposed to reality.
And this is the problem. So it is just a mindset issue. That's all it is. There's a mindset issue between those that understand economics and those that don't. And the mindset issue is it's kind of twofold. Because one, it is that they just don't understand the way it actually works. They can't wrap their head around it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Which different people think different ways. They just haven't had it explained to them properly yet, or they haven't had it presented in a way that they could accept yet,
or they've been brainwashed by insanity.
The other issue with it is that it's a matter of, I don't want to say it's a matter of moral standing, because it's not. There's moral people on both sides.
Yes.
Both people have a moral standing here. I don't want government to not interfere because I want to keep poor people poor. I don't want government to interfere because I want to make poor people rich.
Amen.
That's the difference. Is one side has the viewpoint that non-intervention is what is morally acceptable because they see what intervention does. Mm-hmm. The other side believes that intervention is necessary because they don't see what non-intervention does.
Right. And they're stuck with comparing things to here and just here instead of the rest of the world.
Right.
Where the lower class in the United States is 1,000 times more well off than the middle or upper class in a good handful of other countries around the world.
And the problem, the biggest problem is, especially in the day and age that we have now, is information overload. Because there is far too much information in the world for you to have every fact that you need to make a decision based upon the entire world.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So if you're looking at, Australia banned guns and they're doing fine. But you're not seeing the entire picture. You do not have all of the facts.
Yes.
And the way I know you don't have all of the facts is because you're looking at the macro, trying to use the macro to explain everything. Yeah. When what you need to do is look at the micro.
Uh-huh.
And vice versa.
Look at it on the smallest scale you possibly can and see what happens in a town of 500 people when most of them are armed. Nothing happens.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Did you see what Dick's Sporting Goods is going through right now? They're worried that they're going to have to close a bunch of stores because of theft.
Mm-hmm.
And people are pointing out on their social media, I wonder how you'd be suffering if you had some firearms to defend your store. Right? Dick's Sporting Goods got rid of firearms.
Yeah, and there's so many arguments back and forth on all the different things. The problem. I would say that the biggest problem is that we live in a world that's so just drowned in information.
Yeah.
It's difficult to gather enough information to make a rational choice when you're trying to look at the big picture.
Well, in Europe,
you can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
You need to look at it on a more macro or a more microeconomic standpoint in order to really see how it affects and how it works. And it's funny because everybody's always like, it might work in the rural areas where there's no people, but it will never work in the city type of thing. And they're like, no, it would work perfectly in the city. The city just won't implement things like that because this is the way that they're controlled.
And this is why you have today places like Chicago asking criminals, could you keep the crime between the hours of 9 o'clock and 4 in the morning? Could you just do the crime then and not during the day? Because there's kids during the day.
Yeah.
It's like, it gets not, just stop the crime.
It gets absolutely, it's absolutely out of control. And I know that saying look at it on a smaller scale doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people that be like, it'll never work, and now they'll attack that idea. But it's the only way that you can gather enough information to make an actual logical decision.
Yep.
Because if you're looking at it on the macro, there is too much information.
And that's actually part of what's made the United States so secure and buffeted from the rest of the world.
It's also remarkable
because, because the United States literally has 50 economies within the one economy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so one state might be suffering, but it's buffeted against the other states that are doing well because they all kind of support and whatever each other. Whereas the rest of the world, they have just their country. And if it goes to crap, it goes to crap.
Yep.
Yep. To Mike's point, I was just going to say about having too much information. It's also remarkable how much you can fudge the numbers when it comes to statistics.
How much you miss.
Yeah, like if you adjust for certain variables, like statistics can change very drastically. And so if you just ignore certain variables, you can really make statistics say whatever the heck you want.
One of the best highlights of how untrustworthy statistics are, I read the other day, and it was we did a study of people that played Russian roulette. We interviewed 15 people that had played Russian roulette. 100% of them survived. So our conclusion is that Russian roulette is 100% safe.
I think there's a variable that they didn't include in that.
There is,
study.
but that's the way statistics work.
Yeah.
That's the way that they present the data.
And it's not a lie.
It's not a lie. There isn't a single word of what was said there that could be construed as a lie.
The only part of it that's a lie is the final conclusion.
Yes.
Yep.
But that's because at that point it becomes a lie of omission.
Yes. Well, and lack of data. They cherry-picked data pieces. They only interviewed the survivors of Russian roulette.
They were either ignorant to other things that could cause that data.
Yes.
Or they were
willfully ignorant.
Or they were intentionally leaving something out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were either ignorant of it or they were willfully ignorant of it.
Yes. Both are bad.
Both are bad. Both are bad. Exactly. So it's and it's a double-edged sword because that literally means you can never trust statistics. So what do you trust then? If you can't trust numbers, what do you trust?
Yeah.
You know. But that's the world we live in. They cherry pick data, they go through and they make up whatever they want to, and they spin it as the truth, and they air it on CNN, and people buy it and take it hook, line, and sinker, and it is what it is.
I just glanced over at the sheet I have of the inflation stuff. Can you imagine how not just booming, but just explosive the U.S. economy would be if the average income actually was $8,500? Just that.
85,000.
85,000. Just that. But then add to it, gas is $1.73. A new car is $15,000. A new house, $70,000. Tuition is $7,300. You imagine how explosive that kind of economy would be.
The only thing I would parry that with.
I don't want to spend $10,000 for a TV though.
I was just say yeah.
No.
The only thing I would parry that with is looking at the income. Is we have moved from a single income, like single person family income to a multi-person family income.
Household income.
Since then. And the 56,000 is based on individual incomes. So the average household income would actually be $112,000.
Yep.
At that point.
But still.
That's assuming you get married, which is not something we can assume these days.
But still.
As we'll talk about in our next episode.
But if we were maintaining the social norms that we had at the time of the 1930s, your current household income would far exceed the average household income from back then.
Yeah, just that one thing of your individual income being 85,000 instead of 57,000.
Yeah.
And then your house is less than your annual income.
Right?
Holy crap.
And it's going to take me 40 years to pay off this house.
The capital that would be freed up because of that, of people being free to actually figure out things that actually push humanity forward of, well, this is a nice thing. The way the TV works now is nice, but what if TVs worked this way instead?
Mm-hmm.
People would have more time to tinker like they used to way back in the 30s and the 20s and all that stuff, where they could tinker and figure things out and be, well, here's a gas engine that uses half the gas that current gas cars use. Here's an electric car that can go 600 miles on a charge and charges in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, imagine if we had developed the nuclear batteries that they were trying to develop back in the 80s instead of these solar ones that they're trying to do now and the lithium ones they're trying to do now. Because they literally had a patent on a nuclear battery that would last your entire life.
Yeah.
It would power everything you own, including your car, for your entire lifespan.
It's almost like they don't want us to be independent.
Almost.
They don't.
Almost exactly
I mean, almost.
like that.
Almost they don't. Almost like they don't.
Almost exactly like that. If you were trying to destroy a country, would you do anything differently?
Well, pardon me, young man. Excuse the shit out of my goddamn French, but did you just threaten me?
Exactly. Yep. Well, I think that'll do it. And then some.
And then some. Well, like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. Share. And
put a listen on the
Spotify's.
The Spotify's. You don't have to actually listen if you don't like Spotify, but it helps us.
At least 60 seconds.
Or,
that's what she said.
Or download it and then delete it.
Either way.
I don't care.
No, or listen to the episode because we put out good content.
Well, you can,
Trevor.
That's what
I was just saying on Spotify at least 60 seconds. And then you can switch over to whichever one you want and listen to it there.
Let's advertise our show on its merits.
Shameless plugs. Yes.
Shameless plugs. Bye.
Nope. Depends on how fast we talk.
Not fast enough.
If only I was nervous, then I could get that 1 hour segment down to 20 minutes.
Do you want to be nervous?
No.
Okay. That was a resolute no.
All right. We ready?
Yes. Are you ready?
Click the right sound button. There we go.